Welcome to the prior learning assessment session here at SELF. I'm happy to talk to you a little bit about what we've been doing in extended learning about prior learning assessment, and Sarah Worley has joined me because she is an expert on some of this, much more so than me. What happened is a journey, I guess, that started a couple of years ago when we started looking at some best practices for adult and non-traditional students, including those in the military or veterans, but also those who are transferring from another place. That prior learning assessment is a way for people to show that they have the equivalent knowledge or learning outcome level as a college credit-bearing course in ways other than formal transfer of college credit, meaning it's easy. We have a defined process. If you go to another college and you take Business 100 and you want to transfer it in here toward your Oswego degree, we have a transfer services office. We evaluate, we kind of go through there. Often we have articulations. We've already the well-worn path often. But what happens when someone doesn't have, when someone has the learning outcomes they need or equivalent or more so in some cases than the course they're sitting in? They just simply don't have college credit to show so that they could move over it. And so often you see non-traditional folks or folks who have stepped out who have life experience or work experience, or in the military, you have military-related training, workforce training, professional development, that gives them the same learning outcomes. So how are they able to display to you that they had the same level of learning outcomes and therefore do not need to sit in a class? I'm reminded of the conversation with the Comm Studies folks a couple of years ago. They had a student that came through who had designed, I can't even remember, I guess she had been PR, was it PR? And some other kind of broadcasting, or not broadcasting, but public relations and comm studies related work experience. But because she didn't have it on a transcript, they had to start her in Comm 100. And when the teachers kind of looked at her and talked to her, realized she's an expert in certain areas. How does she have to be here? And so they worked with her individually to try to get her waived. Yeah, what is it called? The deviation, so that she didn't have to sit in the courses. It was quite a hassle. We didn't have policies and procedures on the books for this to happen. And there really is already tried and true methods by which colleges are able to assess that prior learning and then get people placed kind of where they need to be. And so Oswego, we wanted to go and look at what was out there, see what we could do at Oswego, and then create a pathway by which our own internal folks can use that in the future for those types of students. And so one of the things, the first step that we did is we brought in an internationally kind of respected prior learning assessment content expert, Leanne Travers. She came in and talked to us about what happened. She happens to be from SUNY Empire State, and she's been working and receiving all sorts of Lumina grants and all these different things. And she helped us be aware of what best practices are. She hooked us up with CALE, which is the Council for Accelerated and Experiential Learning, which is the international kind of lead agent and expert on prior learning assessment. And so we can see that there are all sorts of different models out there already in place globally, really, in order to do this. So we know what's out there. The next step was for us to go look at what does SUNY Oswego already do? We actually had a history of prior learning assessment here. We had a portfolio course. We had, and we already have tests integrated and different types of ways that we're able to place students. It's just maybe not as comprehensive to be able to fit every single eventuality. So what we did is we embarked on an effort to try to catalog the different types of prior learning assessments we already have. And so, and then thirdly, we created a policy by which if that situation happens again, where another adult or non-traditional student comes in, or maybe they're a traditional student, they just happen to have certain experiences, they can actually, we have a model by which a faculty member and department can actually bring that person to the point where they have prior learning assessed and can be placed appropriately. So I'll start with the catalog here that we put together of all the different prior learning assessments that you can see on the screen, and I handed you one. This was created with quite a lot of people from around campus. We vetted it quite a bit with the registrar, with the gen ed coordinator, advisors looked it over like crazy. We had people from all over campus, faculty, and so on work on this list to make sure it was exhaustive. And we put this together as a tool for advisors to be able to talk and advise students who are coming in with this background. So what you see there is very practical. It's a tool to be used with a student. It includes non-credit bearing PLA. So this becomes like a placement, the non-credit bearing. Because you do these things, you don't earn credit toward your degree. What you're doing is simply putting people where they need to go, or maybe checking a box on a requirement that people need to graduate. So the first column you'll see is the SUNY Gen Ed requirements. I'm not going to go through all of these because you can read these, and probably if you can read it and understand it, you know much more than me because you're a guiding student. But one example here, SUNY Gen Ed requirements. If a student's transcript reflects a complete SUNY GER from another SUNY school, doesn't matter if it's different from SUNY Oswego or not, Gen Ed requirements are met. Check that box. The student doesn't have to complete ours. So you can see there's no credit that we're awarding the student. Or if it does not reflect a complete SUNY GER, the student must do it here. The SUNY Oswego Gen Ed GE21. So who evaluates that? The registrar's office does. How do we know this, or how does the student get this? By submitting their college transcripts. And then there's comments down at the bottom. SUNY's GER represents SUNY's general education requirements in an appropriate mix of categories. So it's kind of in this case, our comment is more descriptive about what GE21 is and so on. Okay, and then you have the next big block is foreign language, and there's a bunch of different ways that foreign language has a non-credit based or non-credit bearing PLA. Computer information literacy competency exam. We realized as we went through this process of creating this form, not everybody, in fact, there were a lot of advisors that didn't know about this or didn't understand that it was a PLA. That when people come in, if they have a certain amount of computer literacy, they can just take this exam and basically show that they have the learning outcomes that what was it, CS 101? Computer information literacy requirement, sorry.
Who has the exam?
The computer sciences department.
Okay.
So you can see here, how do you go about this? So this is what it is. Who do you call? It says computer science department here under the evaluated by. How is it obtained? Well, students must take the exam prior to the semester start. They can only take it once. And then the comments are, computer and information literacy is infused in each major. Reference the undergraduate catalog to be sure it's to the student's advantage to take the exam, because it's not always. So this is the first page of our catalog that we put together. The second page on the back, and I'm just gonna scroll down a little bit, include the black section, which is credit bearing PLA, and then and then the yellow, which is placement and proficiency PLA, which is somewhat similar to non-credit bearing PLA, but it is there is a distinction. So let's go down to the placement proficiency PLA. We at Oswego use ALEX as a math placement exam. ALEX determines which math course the student is eligible to take, places them appropriately. It's evaluated by the appropriate department. How do they attain it? They have to take ALEX after matriculation. And then the comments are, students can retake ALEX multiple times to increase their score. So this just tells you that there are other methods of prior learning assessment, and this is what you do to do them, to access them. And then under the credit bearing PLA, these are ways that we at Oswego have already been using prior learning assessment. The first is testing. We do advanced placement at colleges or high schools around the area. So students might come in with AP credit. We already know that that's kind of a well-worn path, right? People who come in with AP, we know in transfer credit how to kind of apply that. We have different constructs that we know an AP score of this equals this in certain disciplines. We also, though, offer in our testing and proctoring center college level examination program, our CLEP tests, which again, there is already often a equivalency on the books. So if there is a test for a certain language, for example, we know at a certain score, somebody then can have credit for whatever class. So how do they do the testing? At the top there, students can apply a maximum of 30 testing credits within a maximum of 60. Within a maximum of 60 credits allowed from a 2-year school. So for example, a match is 30 AP credits and 30 credits from OCC. It has to be within 60 credits. Who evaluates it? The departments do and the registrar's office. How is it obtained? Students must submit those official transcripts or scores to be evaluated. And then the comments are the college credit awarded is dependent upon the scores earned. And so you can see there are other pieces that I'm going to touch on briefly. Transfer credits from a regionally accredited college. Again, a well-worn pathway, but that is prior learning, and it is assessed. So we wanted to include it on this because we're trying to make this a comprehensive reference document. Military credit by the Joint Services transcript. Students can apply a maximum of 30 military transfer credits, separate from testing credit, to their transcripts. Credits are applied as 4-year credit and can be upper division. It is evaluated by extended learning in the registrar's office, and students must send the Joint Services transcripts at application and or after any new military training. And then we want, in the comments, sometimes credit comes from the community college, the Air Force, or Defense Language Institute. They're both accredited institutions, and so they aren't necessarily under military credit guidelines. We have CTE credit, formerly the department and program BTP, but they have occupational competency exams. And then there's other credit, non-regionally accredited college or testing service. Students can request a transcript to be evaluated and credits applied after they complete one successful full-time semester or part-time equivalent at SUNY Oswego. They must submit documentation and request review by the department chair. And then it just has in the notes, there are other evaluating testing services like ACE, the American Council on Education, Defense Activity for Non-Traditional Education Services, DANTE, those are both usually affiliated with the military, and Excelsior College Examinations. These are on the spreadsheet because they are all in existence. So this is meant to be a resource for you.
Very nice chart.
Any questions about that?
Thank you very much. So just curious with the military credits, now, is it, they can be non-academic in nature, so I'm learning how to defuse a bomb. Is that something, the type of thing that I credit?
They're sort of lump credits.
Okay, so
yeah.
you're not going into the
For different
specifics
training,
of,
like basic training, you get a certain number.
oh, you do,
of
again, for
credits
basic
like that.
training.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. All right, great.
For any kind of military training, they'll evaluate it based on that and more of a lump.
I mean, don't necessarily apply into any specific
Not
program? So-
typically, no.
Okay, but it's still
It's
coming
like,
in.
yeah, either on the lower division credits or, you know, sometimes upper division.
Interesting.
So the other thing that we did, the third thing I told you that we did, is we created a prior learning assessment policy. And so this policy was created, it went through Academic Planning Council, and it went through Faculty Assembly Governance and was voted and adopted. Basically, what we did is we created a policy by which people are able to entertain additional PLA methods at the departmental level as needed by providing policy statement and list of implications. That's what we were trying to do with this. And it got accepted. So let me go through the policy statement. This policy statement will be in the 2018-19 catalog, college catalog. So it is official and underway now. So SUNY Oswego encourages faculty to explore, and implement the use of prior learning assessment to recognize college level knowledge and skills that students acquired outside of formal education. We rely on this policy to ensure practice is consistent with our academic integrity and so on, guidelines, I guess. And so adherence to this policy is also intended to support transparent transfer of prior learning assessment credit among institutions. So this is what we're doing. We evaluate, here are some guidelines, I guess. Evaluation of all PLA options at SUNY Oswego is done by a SUNY Oswego faculty in alignment with established SUNY Oswego policies, equivalencies, and course outcomes at the departmental level. Faculty and staff will develop new methods of assessment of student experiences. What this this means is extended learning is not going to evaluate and award credit for anything. It all goes at the departmental level. So that's very clear. Once reviewed, the faculty will present the proposed PLA at their department meeting for consideration and approval, including the description of their process that they went through and what they want to have as a course equivalency. Once it's approved at the departmental level, the department will document the new PLA and share it with the registrar and the dean of division of extended learning for implementation. And documentation will remain on file at the departmental level as well. Then the registrar and the division of extended learning will communicate any new PLA to both faculty, advisors, college staff, and new existing students, probably through an updated version of this spreadsheet. Then students, student procedure to participate in PLA includes that they must be matriculated before credit can be formally added to their transcript, but SUNY Oswego will conduct an initial review of the transcripts and discuss options for prior learning assessment as part of the admissions or transfer process. They're all eligible to participate in this. Students must complete a minimum of 30 program hours of credit in residence at SUNY Oswego to obtain a baccalaureate degree. So they can't bring in credit from prior learning assessment and count that toward their residency. They're required 30 credit hours of residency here. Prior learning must match existing courses using the course description and course outcomes for guidance. That's not necessarily what happens every time there's prior learning assessment at other colleges. Sometimes you can just bring in prior learning and it counts toward a general degree as like just regular college credit. But here we are under the course match model. Students may be charged if there's a cost for assessment of prior learning. They may vary by option and are non-refundable. Course credit awarded via prior learning assessment will be added to the student's transcript as transfer credit with the title PLA or a grade of T and a grade of T. Students must consult with their academic advisor or the Division of Extended Learning to determine which PLA option may help them attain their academic goals, because just because you have prior level learning doesn't necessarily mean it actually applies toward your degree path that you're trying to attain. And then students are responsible for addressing potential acceptance of any PLA credits in the event of transfer to another college. So just because we accept it doesn't mean that somebody else will. So then we went on to talk about who does what. So Division of Extended Learning, what is our role in that? We will cooperate with the registrar's office to catalog and communicate PLA policies, opportunities, and fees, and will provide administrative support as needed to ensure PLA is embedded as part of our recruitment, educational planning, and advisement process at SUNY Oswego. We'll be the student's advocate and communicate with the department chairs and the student, and so on if needed. We'll coordinate and train faculty and staff advisors about PLA. We'll coordinate the communication of PLA opportunities to the students, and we'll collaborate with the registrar's office to complete regular assessments of the program, including recognition or recommendations for improvement, annual tracking reports of credits administered through PLA, and will report efficacy and application of the policy to the APC and faculty assembly every 2 years. So then we included 2 different forms. So if you're a faculty member who has a student that comes to you, like that example in Comm Studies, you already have what you need to start the process. So what you do is you fill it out, including what you, of course, your own name, and then, of course, after you look at the information that that student might provide you or demonstrate to you, you would then tell them what course subject number and name it should be applied as, and you'll describe how you assess that learning. Then you would say, yes, I want to give that person credit under this name and so on and so forth, and you describe it so that then this form can be routed so that the person who did the evaluation signs it, the department chair signs it, the associate dean signs it, and then extended learning division dean signs it, mainly so that we can report on it. After that, it goes to registrar. So that's how you approve the process, a new PLA process. The last form here that I'll go over, and then I'll take questions, is a departmental approval for the student. So we needed something to be able to catalog how the student gets it on their transcript. So the student itself, he or she, would have all this filled out with their information, when the PLA is applied, and exactly you know, how the prior learning assessment is going to be kind of coded. Again, it has those folks signing off on it. So what we've done is we've tried to create a way for more prior learning to be done here, and so that there's never a question about how. Any questions?
So it says draft. This is not currently available yet
This
to the
is-
departments?
So because after faculty assembly approves it, it goes to the president for formal adoption. My understanding is she signed it, and therefore it will be in the course catalog. So the formal policy will be in the course catalog whenever that's live for 18-19. And I know they asked for all the inputs by like February, so I don't know when they launch it,
Okay.
but I would guess it would be July or August.
Before the new group of students get here,
Yeah.
basically.
So it'll be therefore also up on the website, so it's searchable. But we in Extended Learning do have a page. I was trying to find it earlier.
And these will be on the started extended learning, as far as forums or registrars or.
Well,
Are they being housed?
I'm sorry.
The forms, will they be also available as a link through the extended learning?
I don't know. I have talked with Patrice about putting these things out there. The problem is with a website, you usually try to orient it toward a specific audience. And that in our website is oriented towards students. So there's an internal facing component of this. And we're trying to work through not just this, but like for instructional design, for example, where do you go to get our hybrid policy? How do you know about where those forms are? We want to try to put something together.
Yeah.
But if we put it here, it might be a little confusing.
I agree.
Maybe people might not find them. So for instance, what I'm going to do now is kind of come down to, I'm pretty sure we have it. Here it is, earn credit for what you already know. So we have this part already up on our website, but we are working on making it, when you click on that, you go to a landing page, kind of like our veteran services, you go to a page with some information you can learn, and then you can click to that resource. So it is still in development with us, and we hope to get that out there.
I think it's great, and this would be not just for new students, it could be that as faculty get to know some of these students and they say, tell me again about what you've done.
Yep.
And they could have been here already a couple of years and they'd say, wait a